And you'll see, it'll say, what is it?
I can just leave it on though, right?
Recording in progress. You wanna hit.
Do I want to turn my sound off?
Nope. Oh, wait, I'm connected. So yes, turn yours off.
Wait.
Sorry, guys, one moment.
Okay. So that's not working.
Oh, are you here on here? Oh, yeah.
I just, yes, yes, so that's all right.
So people can hear us. See how it's moving. So it's still echoing, but and the hotel people call it when they were planning. They should have a car. It's just not bathroom. Maybe we shouldn't let people hear it. Oh, that might actually been me.
Unless you want to talk, and then we're going to have issues.
No, I'm not quite sure what's going on. Give us 1 second. It's not meeting time yet.
No.
Can you hover down the bottom corner?
Here?
Yeah.
Unmute it.
No, that little arrow.
Right here?
Yeah. Huh. But your speakers are still on. Well, we can easily do it this way.
Let's just do it on your own.
You sure?
Yeah, because we're so
Okay.
close to the time, I don't want to mess it up.
Right. I'm gonna pull this and it's gonna come down off that. And should you turn to your screen? Go to display and put it back on one screen.
Where the hell is this one?
No, you type in display down there. Yeah.
Display settings.
Yep. Display settings. Oh, you just need to see your displays. Type in display.
It's still echoing.
Oh, we took it off. Oh, multiple displays, yeah.
So what do we?
I'm gonna turn this off for a second, hold on. Turn this on. Still have that. All right. Oh, what did you do?
I turned my speaker off.
Oh, okay. All right, can people on the screen hear us? Thumbs up for somebody, from somebody? Kristen?
April, can you hear
Can
us?
someone hear us on the screen?
Yeah, I can hear you. There was an awful noise that I think was designed to make me insane.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Did it work?
Well, I'm already there, so how would I know?
Okay, all right.
More
All right.
insane. Okay, is everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay, we are I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Shutesbury Selectboard to order. Today is Tuesday, November 12th, 2024, and this is a hybrid meeting. So the select board members are here with our interim town administrator, and then there are two people in the audience, Tom Seifert and Susie Mosier. So as usual, I will go over the agenda, and then we will move right into the meeting. So the first item on the agenda is public comment. I ask if folks have a comment to please use the raised hand feature and to limit your comments, particularly if we have multiple people wanting to speak. After that, we have on the agenda to discuss the vacation payout for the former town administrator, Becky Torres, then discussion with the police chief regarding town hall security, and then the last item on the agenda, what we'll do sort of this portion of our meeting is a check-in with Gabe Volker, our interim town administrator. And what we're going to do probably around, well, yeah, just at 6:30 is we are going to, the select board is going to recess and then rejoin the FinCom at 7:15. And that was done because we had more than enough time to do the check-in with Gabe, as well as the fact of just the Zoom accounts. And, you know, we're in the process of resolving some issues around, you know, getting some more Zoom accounts, because we clearly need them with multiple meetings happening and everybody pretty much doing hybrid meetings, multiple meetings happening on the same evening. So that is our plan for this evening. So the first item, as I said, is public comment. And if anybody has a comment, please raise your hand in the audience or on the screen. Okay, Susie.
We're in a transition period, and I would say that this is going to be a lot of work for people. We have a full-time town with volunteers, part-time workers, and a few full-time people carrying that work, and that is a lot of work. I think it's cumbersome to have committees run through a process of public meetings and open meeting laws and all that, but it is what we have. We do need to follow that, those rules. I have,
Susie,
yeah.
do you mind speaking up just a little bit so the owl can catch you from the...
Yeah. I know that there's going to be a review for the town administrator's job description, and I don't know if I know that timeline, but as far as I understand, it's going to involve the personnel board, select board, I'm not sure who else. But I definitely have some suggestions at this juncture, and so I'd like to know when that kind of process gets started so I can contribute to that. And I feel that out of this process will come working with the town to adjust people's expectations of what services are and how it works and how the time works and how I think there'll be some changes in how things are addressed. And so for all those, I feel like this is the moment to say this now, and then I hope to be able to be involved in the process as we go along.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Susie. Other comments? Okay, nobody out there?
have a comment? Okay. Nobody in here? You're good? Okay. All right, so then the next item on the agenda is to discuss the vacation payout for Becky Torres, a former town administrator. And I'm going to hand this off to Melissa, who's been doing some background research and, yeah, be able to explain to us sort of what the issues are.
All right. So, so when a employee leaves a job or employment, or they or the town in this case, any accrued vacation is paid out to them that they've accrued over the course of the time working here that has not been taken or based on parameters of the personnel handbook. And so there was a discrepancy, and we have a chance to discuss it tonight, but there was a discrepancy between what the book says and what Becky had said that she would like to be paid out for. So with that, I did some research, and Donna had suggested that all three of us talk, because we have some flexibility with
And
this.
Donna McNichol, our town council.
Yes, Donna McNichol, our town council. So where we started was, so in the prior contract with Becky, there had been an additional accrual of vacation time in the contract. However, in the research, that page had not been in either one of the last two contracts. So I don't have reference point for that page. However, so that contract with Becky, after our negotiations, was not signed. And so that expired June 30th. And everything agreements in that expire at the same time. And so at that point, she became an employee at will, non-contracted, and that falls to the personnel policies, employee policy handbook. And in that handbook, there are two things that it accounts for. One is the maximum number of days you can roll over to the next year, which is 20 days of vacation. The next thing that policy addresses is the amount that is accrued based on years of service. And Becky was in the 16th year of service, which accrues on a payroll basis or monthly basis the 26 days of vacation. Where the discrepancy or the challenge was do we base it on the personnel handbook of 26 days, or do we base it on the higher amount in the prior contract? And so that's where that was.
Which is 30 days.
Which I believe is 30. I don't have the reference point. I wasn't able to find that sheet of paper in the two contracts that I've been involved in. Well, three contracts, I guess, but the two prior contracts. So we're talking with the treasurer at length. He and I had had done the calculation for the 26 days, talking with Donna. She talked to both of us. The contract the emphasis was the contract had expired on the 30th of June. And so it's up to the select board to decide, do we do what the personnel board as an at-will employee states, which is the 20 days plus the 26, or the prorated amount for 26 days at 19 weeks of accrual, or do we do it at the higher one of 30 days at 19 weeks of accrual, which the difference was 8,200, slightly over 8,200. The next one is, I think, closer to 9,000. I think it was about $1,000 difference, or give or take. So that's what we have to decide now, if what we would like to do. We have flex. We can do what the personnel board says, or we could do somewhere in between. That's what we're here to discuss.
Can I ask what Ryan would say? What would Ryan say, right? Because isn't he sort of a arbiter at some level
He will do what we decide, so we inform him. He and I had done the calculation based on the personnel board handbook because the contract had expired.
Gotcha.
And that's where like I said, there was a disagreement there, about it. And so Donna has asked us to talk about it and decide what we would like to do. Because we have flex in there, we can do either or somewhere in between.
So there were, and one of the issues is the fact that there was no attachment
In the last contract,
in
especially.
the last contract. I don't know in the previous, it was cited in the last contract in the narrative that, that vacation days will be accrued, vacation days will be accrued according to the addendum.
Mhm.
But there was no addendum.
And when I went back to look at the prior contracts, that was the contract from 2021. The
Right.
prior contract that I also did, I looked in my email and the materials, the select board, it didn't have that page either. So it was two
And
contracts.
it's had the
But
same
it had the
language.
same language, so it must have been a prior contract in which it was negotiated in. So that
And
was,
we don't have a copy of that.
could not find it anywhere in any of the time I've served on that. And I believe it was asked for, but we were not given that piece of information.
And so what we're talking about is the accrual of 30 days versus 26 days for the 19-week
For the
period.
19 weeks, so it's either 4 hours a week, or if you give me a second, I can figure that out.
And you said about between $800 to $1,000.
Yeah, it was somewhere in between that. I can give you, so it's 4 hours of vacation times 19 weeks, or 4.61 hours, 62 hours each week for 19 weeks. I can look. You know, it's
Yeah.
so the facts were that the contract had expired. So at that point, the personnel board book, or the personnel handbook for the employees at will, is the guiding source for that. And we can, if we just choose to decide, we can do up to what that document may have said, but I don't have reference point for that document is, or what it said, so. I can read the statement that was in the contract prior, if anyone wants me to read that.
Yeah,
or-
yeah, why don't you just read that if you have it?
Would you just give me a second?
While you're doing that, April, you had a question or comment?
Well, yeah, I guess that's more of a comment than a question. We've been in the process as a board, as a personnel board. Wait a minute, we're not quorumed, are we? No, we do not have a quorum here of the personnel board. Because
Yeah.
Melissa and I are both on the personnel board, and I want to make sure we don't violate open meeting law. But my understanding is we have been in the process of updating that for a significant amount of time, with the understanding that a lot of it is out of date. So I just wanted to add that to your discussion. And maybe just bring up the thought, or you know, there's rules and regulations, and then there is sort of the reality. And for an employee who put in significant numbers of hours over and above the 40, and I doubt ever had the comp time, that it seems like the no-brainer would be to go with the higher amount. But that's an opinion. I don't get to decide, but that's what comes to mind.
I have that paragraph.
Yeah.
So this was from the contract. Specifically, I'll read the whole paragraph so that's in context. Benefits will be, this is the benefits section. Benefits will be in accordance with the Town of Shutesbury personnel policies as outlined in the personnel bylaw and handbook. The employee will be entitled to 15 days of vacation per year, prorated in the first year, which shall begin to accrue when her full-time employment begins. Additional days will accrue annually per attached chart. And I was not able to find that attached chart even on prior. So that's that. I can read the personnel policy handbook that applies if that's helpful as well.
Okay. Thanks.
So like I said, Donna said we have flexibility in what we decide. So we can't be less than 26 days of accrual
Right.
for 19 weeks. Right.
That
so,
we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 20 days rollover was not in
Right, in
discussion.
question.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
how much for the 19 weeks.
Okay.
I guess I would tend to concur with what, I mean, one of April's real big points is that there were lots of days, lots and lots of hours that Becky was not compensated for in any way. And if this, we're at the end, things are a little confusing, well, it's at least partly our fault, that is to say the town's fault, that it's confusing. Like the document is missing, well, I don't know, well, okay, that's not Becky's fault, I mean, I don't know, so here it is. So I guess I would tend to say, just pay the higher of those two numbers, and that's just fair to her, and I feel better about that. I don't feel like we're getting gypped in any way, put it that way, and I feel that, I guess that's the wrong expression to use, but just that I feel like, we're getting more than our money's worth out of the time that Becky put in, put it that way.
Yeah, there are a few things at play here that were a concern to me, the fact that, and I was on that last negotiating committee in 2021, right?
Yeah.
It was the first time I had done a negotiation, and when this first emerged as an issue, I went back to my files, the limited files that I had about that, and couldn't locate that addendum either. And, for me, it was like a lesson learned, because, at the time when we did that negotiation and we didn't have that piece of paper, we should have asked for it.
Right.
But, so we were not going through. So, I share responsibility here, but it was, it's troublesome that it was missing from the contract prior to that. It sounds from what April said that the personnel policy is being looked at, and this might very well be included in the new in the new personnel policy. So I guess I would tend to agree, and I guess my other editorial comment is, agreeing with Eric that, Becky did put in a tremendous amount of time, rolled over 20 days of vacation when I doubt she took any of the 30, and I know
Right.
during COVID that there just, wasn't much vacation at all taken. So, people tend, if you don't use it, you lose it. And I'm sure she lost a lot of vacation over the course of her time here. She spent this last weekend with select board members, all three of us, Susie too, and working to get everything prepared for the interim town administrator. Becky didn't have to do that, but she did, and there was she put well over 25 or 30 hours in. You know, it was quite extraordinary. So kind of taking all those facts into account and thinking about lessons learned here, you know, I certainly, for me, lesson learned, read carefully and, you know, make sure if there's something says it's attached, it is attached, and what does it say? But yeah, given the circumstances, I guess I would concur with Eric to do the payout based on the, you know, the 30 days of vacation, and encourage the personnel committee to take, you know, to get that updated, yeah, to look at it, and for those of us who, you know, a lot of paper passes by us, but when we're signing contracts, we just have to make sure we're taking a long, hard look at everything.
No, I don't disagree. It was the fact that there was a discrepancy that, the personnel, the policy said this,
Yes.
that we had flexibility and that we had the discussion, and not just simply, you know, assume, right?
Yes.
So,
Oh, yeah, no,
I don't
absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, you know, yeah, we had to do our due diligence,
Yeah.
and I think, you know, when something gets revealed to us, then we have to, you know, for transparency, acknowledge, yes, mistakes were made. Here's the situation we're in right now, and what do we believe is the right thing to do? And in
That's
this
where we are.
instance, yeah.
So then in that case, since we're all in agreement, I'll make a motion that we decide to pay Becky accrual 19 weeks based on 30 days accrual, in addition to the 20 rollover days for vacation as a payout at the end of her employment.
Okay, I'll second that. Did you make the motion?
I did second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Stalker,
Maybe Sonia, aye?
Darrell, aye. And thank you, Melissa, for bringing that to our attention.
yeah, that was a lot of work to figure out.
Yeah.
Thank you, human beings.
Okay.
I guess the one thing I want to just reinforce is that when we were doing when we got the finance committee and we're doing the calculations, you know, I think we had sufficient coverage to cover payout,
Oh, yes.
our interim town administrator, and then we provided some flex for an increase in the town administrator salary for the person hired. So,
Okay.
we good? All right, so the next item on the agenda is Kristen Burgess, our police chief, is here with us to talk about town hall security. Kristen, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Just getting my computer to agree with me. Okay. Can you see and hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to update the select board in the town. Good evening, everyone, on what I am doing to update security as tasked by the select board to be the security of the town buildings overall. The town hall building had an issue a couple of months ago. Becky and I got together and somebody had requested a town hall key, and I was on my last key. And when I took this position, I had asked for Amherst Locks to come out and make more town keys for me because we were sort of at the end of our ability to hand out keys. I had made, I think, and I can get this number specifically, but I think I had Amherst Lock make 20 keys. Since they have now been given out. When I got to the end of my keys and someone a couple months ago had asked, you know, if they could have a key, I sort of was like, where are all the keys? So I tasked my sergeant, Devin Peltier, to assist me in creating a policy and a form that we can have the people that get keys for town hall, the exterior and interior, separate or combined, to fill out so that we can have a checklist. We have a now, we're then inputting that information into an Excel spreadsheet so that we can keep track of all of the keys that are out there. I have put out an announcement to the town employees and all the emails that I could find to let everyone know that this was happening. And boy, did we have a key exchange day today. I think I probably handed out about 20 keys and we had 20 forms filled out. Some of it was back entering. We asked everyone, do you have an interior key as well? Some said yes, some said no, some said they don't need one. And we then effectively put that onto our sheets as well. And then anyone who might need a town hall key and a code to get in is important. I feel that anyone who has an exterior key to the building is likely at some point going to need a code to get in. It's not always that someone's in town hall. So we then started working on gathering that information and putting it into the Excel spreadsheet. What is very interesting is that I received some emails from people and also had people stop into the police station saying, oh, hi, I think I have an old town hall key to turn in, by the way. I heard that you were exchanging keys. This is somebody today specifically who is maybe 10 years ago needing the exterior of the building and also had an interior, we call it the conference room. It's the land use, it's the Board of Health, it's that room that's right next door to us. They had a key to that as well and no longer needed that circa about 10 years ago. And luckily they came and handed it in to us. Good, because I'm running out of those almost as well. But I do know who has those. So we decided that it was, a couple months ago, imperative to do this. Now I really am so glad that we were doing this. The reason it didn't happen a couple months ago is because I was trying to get a hold of the person who comes out from Amherst Locks, and we do like working with them because they are who we have used throughout town. They're our neighboring community, and I really like how they do business. He hadn't been getting back to me. I found out that he has been ill and his wife has had some issues. They've now overcome those and he was getting back to me now. That's the timing of this. We're still probably have at least another maybe 5 or 10 keys that we're collecting back and getting back to people. So I think it was probably a really good decision to do this. We have keys floating out there. We don't know who they are. Now we have an Excel spreadsheet of who has keys out there, exterior, interior, who has codes, what those codes are. Although I can retrieve those codes from citizen security, it was just easy to ask people to list that so we can cross-check them and make sure that everyone is correct in that. That being said, I have talked to my liaison, Melissa, about potentially thinking about getting a camera system for the exterior of the building, not the interior of the building. And we have had, let's see, I want to say when I first started, it was 2020. Someone had vandalized my Jeep. I had a black 2-door Jeep at the time. And somebody had put what my mechanic believes to be sugar and some other type of liquid into my gas tank. I know that it happened there because I had no problems getting in. And then once I was here, the vehicle was left for approximately 16 hours and in the dark. And then it did not want to move or start, and it had luckily not really ruined the engine, but I did have probably a couple $1,000s worth of damage, and it would have been nice to see who was being friendly with me at the time. Since then, we have had people dump things off into the carport. We've had tires dumped, we've had garbage dumped there, we want to let people know where they can potentially put these items, but that's not the spot. And then again, also too, we did have the concerns of people removing, the signage on Town Hall in 2020, 2021. I can't remember, maybe it was 2022, our Black Lives Matter sign that we had up. There were quote threats to that. I just think that camera systems to the exterior for security purposes only might be a good idea. And I don't think that it's necessary in the interior of the building, but that is something that we're looking at. One of the big questions we had today is, have there been any immediate threats to the building? And no, there haven't been any immediate threats. But again, being proactive is what we are trying to do. I did have a situation where someone shared their code with another person who forgot their code. And then the alarm went off. I was called. I called the person whose code was put into the system, and they said, no, I shared my code with so-and-so. So that's another reason we're trying to get on top of things and say, you have your code for a reason, someone else has their code for a reason. And I think that's everything I just wanted to share. I am apologetic in that I did not get Gabe the policy that we have been putting out with people signing as they receive their keys. I will get that out. In fact, that particular, and it is my policy to the people who would like keys to the building. It is not the town's or select board's policy. It is, if you'd like a key, this. And we'll get that out to the public. It's very simple. It basically just states you're going to use this properly. You're not going to share your code. You're not going to duplicate the key. And if you utilize things improperly, you may not have access to the building moving forward. May not. And because there's always exceptions. So I'll get that out to Gabe first thing tomorrow, and I will also get it to the web committee so they can post it on the web page. The other information that people are filling out is not for public dissemination. It is not a public document because it has private information attached.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Thank you, Kristen. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you, everybody.
So who did get keys? Is it all chairs or all committees?
Right. So I was, that was one of my big questions as I was moving forward with this. Well, who is supposed to have keys? So I first started with the obvious, the people that work in the building regularly, who need access to certain offices. I started with those. The next I went to chairs of committees and moved along with that. For instance, the Concom chair, obviously is going to need a key and hadn't had a key before. They do have paperwork in that office that they need to look at, and that conference room is a very shared space. I found out. I don't know how they all do it, but they dance around each other beautifully. So mostly chairs of committees have come in requesting keys. I did have a situation where we have a chair of a committee who's not always around. So the co-chair sometimes needs access, and obviously that's granted as well. And then after chairs, I have not had anyone that isn't a chair or isn't actively working in town hall ask me for a key yet, but I think that it would just be a decision by decision basis. No one has yet come to me with a no need for a key saying, I don't need a key. Actually, there was somebody, but it was an email that was sort of numbers and letters and said, I want a key. And I said, okay, who is this? So I can get you the key. And then they were basically just swearing at me. So I think that somebody maybe heard about it and was just trying to, have some fun. So they're not getting a key. So that's how I decided it. It's basically who actually needs access to the building. And we do have quite a few people, but we also need to remember that although it is a public building, it is not always open, and it shouldn't be open for anyone at any time unless they have actual business, to do, and then we'll make sure we get it open for them, obviously.
Thank you. Questions? Eric, Melissa?
I don't remember if you said this quickly, but did you also on the form say not to share your key, not to hand it? I know the code, but the key as well.
Right. You're not sharing your key, you're not sharing your code, you're not duplicating the key, that sort of thing, which actually has happened in the past. And I think that, now as we have more sensitive information and there's offices at mine and others that have things that are not up for public information, they're not for public dissemination. It's nothing you can obtain with a public records request, that sort of thing. We just have to be a little careful. I don't want anyone to think this is an overreacting thing. We're just trying to have a check and balance. That's all. We just want to know where they are. And then if someone leaves their position, and I have asked everyone today that has come in for a key, please do not leave me. And do not leave us. But if you step down from your position, I do need that key back. If you want to go to another position that requires a key, we'll just change that, verbiage in your form. That's all.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. You good?
And
Okay.
just and real quick, Rita, I'm so sorry. I'm just checking in also with the fire department and the highway department that they are also checking their, making sure who has codes and keys, et cetera, that they're doing sort of a purge onto that as well. And I'm not worried about the library at all. I know who has keys and who utilizes the keys, and Marianne's got that. I talked to her today. So just so you know, all town buildings that have security systems are doing a purge and checking into it. That's all.
Great, okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.
Okay, so the last item for sort of this portion of the meeting is a check-in with Gabe Bulker, our first day on her job as interim town administrator. And I know I have just, I had started a list of things that that have been kind of on my mind to just deal with going forward. But I don't know if there's anything, I don't know if you have a list for us.
I have one started, but I'm not ready just yet, because what I'm finding is as I dig through things, I'm getting answers in different venues.
Okay,
And so before I bring something forward that I can't find an answer to.
okay,
So I've gone through, I found 2 bills today that I've added to your special town meeting warrant that need to be paid. They're prior year bills, and I can explain that. Basically, I've just been going through the emails and trying to get set up. And I have met a lot of people today and had interactions. I've set up some appointments with the highway chief and some other things.
okay.
So what I'd really like to know, one of my main questions is, I am aware that you have a couple of contracts, and I think it's the police chief's contract. There was another one that was expiring. Is it fire chief? Am I right?
Fire was the next one. When was that? Give me a second, we'll figure that out.
So normally, you get going on these because you have FinCom interests in that, and FinCom's putting an April budget together.
Yeah,
And if the contract expires June 30th, you need to have it in place so FinCom knows what they're doing. We're a little bit behind on that. And so I'm wondering what your negotiation process is. Typically, I've always done negotiations myself. I don't know if you want a select board member with me during negotiations, how Shutesbury likes to conduct that. Typically, I start out with the chief, just finding parameters, and then I usually go to the select board in an executive session or whatever, and we start discussing it. So what is your process for that?
good question. So, Melissa, you have done this before.
Yeah,
right?
so in the past, we have done a committee that doesn't, not a committee, a group that doesn't trigger open meeting law in that there's a quorum of any one group.
Okay.
And so it's been a select board member, a personnel board member, a FinCom member, the TA, And I think that's it. Now that, we did learn in this year that the select board could choose to do a negotiation themselves if they choose to, or include the 3 members of the select board if they choose to. So that's been the process.
Okay. Do you want to continue that?
So we also had done at one point where the select board met to discuss our feelings on a, did we do that?
I just
Did we?
think-
Maybe we did not do that.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't
I may be
recall.
imagining that, so it's been a while since all the contracts, but, so that's been our process.
Okay, so that is a task that I think I need to get hopped onto. So what's your pleasure? Do you want me to meet first and get parameters? Or do you want to go ahead and assign, or put an email out there to ask people who, if they'd be interested in serving?
That's a good question.
I mean, we could get the parameters first, then have the people who want to review it, and then have the discussion with the chief. I mean,
Yeah,
It's kind of ongoing, those could happen simultaneously, right?
It could.
Right, the building, because the personnel board meets once a month and FinCom more, and we do every other week.
yeah,
So it would be easier to fix us, and FinCom personnel board is once a month. Not that you can't email the group and ask if anyone's interested.
well, it's up to you guys how you wanna do it. I mean,
so I think that it would make some sense to have Gabe do an initial meeting.
Yeah.
Then I think what we've done, is like reach out to the finance committee and to the personnel committee to ask them to appoint a person, and then we decide amongst ourselves who from the select board is gonna, but I think it helps to have some basic outline of where things stand, that Gabe could do that work. Does that
Yeah,
make
that's,
sense
yeah,
to
that's
you?
okay.
That makes sense. Does make sense. Yeah.
So, would we, do you want us to take a vote like next week? It's not on our agenda for today, so we could put it on, we're gonna meet again in a week.
right, I would put it on the agenda,
For our
the
next meeting?
and then we
Okay.
can just go for it.
Okay, all right, so at our next meeting, the agenda would be setting up the structure for the police chief negotiations. And then, Melissa, can you check and see if there was anybody else? So,
No, I think
That was it?
Yeah, the select board, it was the
just
four,
the,
the TA being one of them.
Okay. all
Because,
right.
in others that
Okay.
I sat in, that was the case.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, great. So we'll do that on the 19th, yeah. That-
And I
that
think,
makes sense.
I think the fire chief was signed in 22. So 3 years, that might actually, it might be this spring that.
So they're 3-year contracts.
3-year contracts.
So I'll check with the fire chief. Does anybody have copies or?
I believe they're upstairs in the files. I can point out where I believe they are.
Okay,
From
Of
this
the
weekend.
Of the
From
contract.
this weekend, yeah.
Okay, so we're looking for contracts, just so we have a base.
I can also search my email a little bit more in depth to find it.
So, the other thing I was curious about is the agendas. I was hoping to talk to Abby today and I wasn't able to, so I'm gonna try to talk to her during the week, maybe tomorrow, about the agendas and how they're set up. So Melissa did it this week. And so there's a learning curve for me because my town admin assistant has always done it. So I don't mind learning how to do it, but there is a learning curve there. So you post by Thursday?
No, we've always, for Tuesday meetings, it's typically not been done till sometime on Friday. I think we can certainly do it earlier, and it'd be better if we got things done earlier, especially since you'll be in on Thursdays, that would make sense.
We can update it on Fridays if
We could update it, that's
Yeah,
correct,
that's a good point.
yeah.
That's a good point.
The, we have tried to to take more control over the agenda. The select board has, and been pretty active in putting forth suggestions for what should be on the agenda. And then typically what's happened is so we co-chair. So whoever's chairing that particular meeting would reach out to the other two select board members and say, do you have any items for the agenda? And then Becky would actually sort of put it together. I'd be thrilled if we can, not just have Abby do that. I think what I always wanted, like when I was chairing, is I wanted to see the agenda before it got posted, because I wanted to make sure that that the timing seemed right, and that if there was anything extraneous on it, like if we had so many like really big things in one meeting and something would be deferred to another meeting, then it would make sense. We try to limit our meetings to no more than 2 hours, because some of us just fade after that. So we're, obviously we've gone longer, but we try to keep it. So if Abby was going to do it, I think what we maybe continue the same process where either you or I send an email to the others, say, do you have any items for that agenda? CC you and Abby, and then it starts to get put together, and then that day, say Thursday morning, we have an agenda, so that we're starting earlier in the week, like Tuesday. And I think we should just get into the habit at these meetings of saying, this needs to be on the next agenda, because we just weren't disciplined about doing that, and I think it would be, really good for us to just be coming, like I'm already starting to do that today, so.
We did that tonight, so
Yes.
I know one of the things that needs to go on.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, if Abby can do that, and then if you are chairing, you get on Thursday morning, you get the draft agenda, you go through it, make sure it works. And I likewise would do the same thing.
I'm not sure that I'm sort of speaking for Abby, I guess,
Yeah.
But I mean, the timing, that's the thing I worry about.
Timing, well, maybe as we're putting it together, we could say, I think we're gonna need 15 minutes for this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And
Oh, that's true, the time,
Yeah.
I even just kind of,
Is pretty crucial.
just kind of.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been looking at agendas for other boards and they don't always put times on. I don't, what's your,
the reason they don't put times on is if you have an appointment and you have a time, you have to wait till that person gets there.
Yeah, no, we've had that happen to us before.
Right,
And
we
so you
have.
have to sit, and so that's why a lot of towns don't put times on, so they can move from one to another. And you normally tell the person to be here between 6 and 7.
Right.
Or whatever your time frame is. You start at 5 all the time, right?
No,
No.
it's been starting at 6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna keep it at 6?
We used to talk about that.
That's better for me, but I'm one vote, whatever.
I just can't make something before 5, that's just
Okay,
my.
so tonight was special because of the FinCom meeting.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, and I
because
think
it's
we
through
weren't
us.
sure how long, that you were gonna be here.
Right.
I know you're just working till 6.
Normally, Tuesday I will work until it ends.
Okay.
So if there's FinCom meeting, I'll go to that, mainly because I want to see how it operates, not because I want to do anything else. I want to see how it operates. So, and then you guys, so if you're every other week, I'll be here from 9 till probably when it ends, 7:30, 8 o'clock, whenever it ends.
Okay.
So that's my plan. Thursday it's 9 to 6.
Okay,
So there's after hours in case somebody works and wants to stop in.
right.
Um,
So, why don't we leave it at 6 for now?
Okay.
And, as I said, we really do try to keep the meetings, pretty tight.
That's good.
Yeah.
Just to give a little history about the timing on there, when I first started on the select board 8 years ago, there was no time slots, but that was something that came as that had worked for a prior select board member at prior meetings. although those meetings at that time our select board meetings would go until 10. So,
Yeah, but I think this generally works pretty well.
the timing does,
I mean, you know,
yeah.
we're always off a little bit here
It's
and
sort of,
there.
yeah, I think it's a discipline.
Yeah, I agree.
At times of saying, like, we thought this was gonna take 15 minutes, why is it taking 45 minutes? Well, sometimes if there's a lot of public you know, we've decided we're taking public comment,
Right.
because we tend to just take public comment at the beginning of the meeting, and then if there's a topic where we think, you know, engaging with the public makes sense, we do it, but we don't always, like on everything, we don't always.
And we don't
Or
have
we
back
don't
and
always
forth,
have
it's
public.
always like, we'll take a comment, but we're not gonna.
At that, well, yeah, during
I'm
public.
used to
Right,
that,
right.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so I have a little bit of an update. As far as the computers go, I've identified that there are 3 computers that need to be purchased. I did discuss with our accountant where the money would come from. She suggested the ARPA. She told me the ARPA wasn't completely used up. So I need to go to somebody and find out what is committed under the
There's
ARPA.
a spreadsheet that was being used.
Okay,
It's
so
probably on your app.
I'll look for a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I think it was called ARPA. I can send you the last one we received,
Okay.
if that's.
So there's a couple of things. The Zoom, that is a major problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask if Melissa and I could figure out how to solve that. I don't know what kind of cost that's gonna be, but I think you're better paying it up front rather than you are on a monthly basis. Especially if we can invoice it and not credit card it. I will discuss with our treasurer reopening our credit card under a guided method. We'll do a policy where it's not gonna be just given to anybody to use. There's an issue with credit cards because of the sales tax.
Right.
So we have to be cautious about that. So the 2 major things I had were the update in the Zoom, the update on the computers and the Zoom, and we talked about the contracts. So that's kind of where I am right at the moment. It's gonna take me a couple of weeks to get my bearings and find everything. But things look pretty good right at the moment, so.
Okay, great. Well, the Zoom business account was on my list just because it's so, I mean, just the interaction with Grace this morning, I'm like, oh.
No, we
This
clearly
cannot
wanna
be-
get it, so.
And also, we
Yeah.
did get an email from Mateo, with our
Yes.
land use clerk, saying, I need a Zoom account, which makes total sense. So if you guys can get that resolved and then figure out, I was under the impression that there were a few lines within the, like, general government, or
There's a
office
tech line.
supplies, or,
There's
you
a
know.
tech line.
There's about $6,000 in there.
Okay,
My concern with using that first is that's finite.
yeah,
ARPA's going away in December.
right.
So
Right. So
if
if we
there's
have anything,
change, and I'm
yes.
not talking thousands, if there's
Yeah.
change in there that we can use
Yeah.
up, we should use that up.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, I can look, I don't think we had, I don't know when we last had ARPA reporting, but somehow I was under the impression that we'd spent all the money, but let's double check.
The one thing that I had not remembered being done, I think we had done everything, the fire station fan, it was an exhaust fan for the fumes off the fire trucks when we start them up. And I'm not sure if that has been completed.
I thought it
There was
had,
a
but I
part-
could be
It may
wrong
have,
with
and
that.
I just maybe lost track, that's the only thing I.
But
as I
it
was
should have been
thinking about it.
accounted for, because what
Sure,
Becky,
yeah.
you know, I remember those spreadsheets, like, there were, you know, there was listing of what the balance was and all the committed expenditures. So,
Well, if anybody finds it.
okay,
send it
and
to
if
me.
not, I assume you're starting to make a list for Becky of questions that you have, or?
Not for Becky, I figured we try to solve it in-house
Okay.
first,
All right.
and then if I
Great.
need to call her, I'll have a list.
Okay,
That is definitely one, but I am looking for a sheet, because our accountant wasn't aware that there was everything committed. So,
okay, all right. That would be great, and then maybe you can report back to us next
week after you
Definitely,
found
yeah.
that, and then we can figure out what else. And yeah, I agree, not spending all the money now would be good. But we've got to make sure everybody has the equipment that they need.
Other services.
We're running a multi-million-dollar
I know.
operation here,
I know.
and now we're putting it
We've got
together
a meeting.
with tapes and Post-its, and
Yeah.
it's been kind of crazy.
Okay.
One question I have is a little, just off the topic a little bit, but we had a request today, for example, someone wants to use that room for a Democratic Town Committee. Did you see that? from
Yeah, I
Cadwell?
did.
Yes, they came in today and talked to me.
Okay, so I guess the question is, they're
Where do
asking,
we put it?
what's that?
Where do we post that?
I don't think we have to, I think just that.
Oh, the use of the room?
Yes.
I think it was more of a verbal agreement.
Has it been used in the past for political things?
So vaguely remember, this is, I think before select board, that they used to have things here. Republicans used to also because it was, the town committees are elected. So yes, posting the use of the room was never something that was
No, I don't,
done.
I think it was always that you'd sort of, my sense was you'd always, I think Becky kept track of it, just to make sure two people didn't want it at the same time or
Right,
whatever. So she'd have to work out like who was, I could be wrong about that.
Right, she
That's
did
my
do
sense.
that, yeah, I don't know if there was ever a calendar. Because
Nothing.
like the garden club has used it to do wreath making, around the
And
holidays.
of course, the COA uses it for luncheons. There's been other meetings in there during the day too.
Yeah, I was just thinking of
Yeah.
non-town
Yeah.
affiliated,
Yeah.
use, and so I think town stuff always has a priority,
Right.
and.
But even that has to be scheduled, I mean, you can't.
It does,
Can't
it
do
does.
Is it
weeks
something
while
that
Council of Aging's having dinner or
I
something.
can track?
I think it's something you need to formalize. I think we need to have
A policy
a
about
town
use?
hall use policy.
Okay.
Well, it's not a policy well, yes it is, but the person goes to say, I haven't talked to Abby, but I'm just gonna use her as an example. They go to Abby, they fill out a town hall use form, we wanna use the town hall on December 13th from 6 to 8.
Right.
She puts it on a calendar, that can be posted on the internet or whatever, we have to figure that out. And
Okay.
that way people can look at it, and we put the normal meetings like the COA luncheon on there.
Yeah,
And that
The time
way,
thing.
yeah, that way, and I know Mary Ann does a lot of programming
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And we did check with her today about the meeting that this Board of Health agent asked me if we could do. So it's clear for that meeting in case you need to respond to her.
Okay, no, I just.
I don't wanna be the only
Just
one who
raise the
knows
subject, yeah.
right,
that room
yeah.
is being used, and I don't know, putting up a board out here, a sign-up board would be the trick.
Now, so many people are so computer oriented.
Right, that's why I'm thinking if it's on page, they can go and look and see if the
Right.
room's available.
Right. Okay,
No, I like the idea of going to Abby if she doesn't mind doing it, or whatever, that would be a good job for the administrative secretary to do, I would think.
okay, we don't have a town hall use policy, I'm just thinking, we have so many policies, there's a book up there, Is somebody-
Yeah,
have you ever been
no,
through
you
it?
really just kind of,
Probably.
it's been kind of, you ask and it's approved or not approved. Like, so
Okay.
the town administrator was the one that said
Okay.
yes or no.
All right. I will research if I can find,
But here's
Yeah.
just the thought,
yeah,
and it maybe for the policy talk, if it's an outside one, do they have to have an employee here? That's just for later talk, that's just a question. It's not on our agenda, so we probably shouldn't ponder it too much. But
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Okay,
put it
I'll
on the
look-
agenda for
yes,
next week, because
okay.
you are popping up questions about keys, and I have to
Right.
talk to the chief about that.
right, right.
Okay.
And we're assigning jobs to Abby, she doesn't know.
Right, absolutely, okay.
Okay, so the other things that I had, did you have anything else, Kate?
No, thank you.
The other things that I had, that I wanted to mention was that I know both Eric and I are willing to come in and do some hours during, maybe short term during this transition period. I had thought about it because I felt like
you're only doing, you know, we have you for 20 hours. We want to keep you. And Abby's so new that, you know, maybe for at least these next few weeks, that, you know, I would be willing to come in on Wednesday mornings for 3 hours.
Yeah, I come in
And
Friday.
you can come in on Fridays.
One Friday, I can't let the switch that week because I'm going to
Okay.
Denver there, but whatever.
And, you know, what I was thinking about was, let's say, you know, we kind of we let people know in our town announce today. But what I would also see doing, I don't want to sit there for 3 hours and play solitaire or something. I would go into that closet, that storage closet, and pull out, you know, one of those egg crates or milk crates or whatever they are, of paper, and start to do what we did over the weekend, and to say, you know, what is this? I mean, we are like drowning in paper here. We're drowning in boxes. You know, I look at Abby's office and I think this is awful.
Power over there.
Well, yeah, but this is not anybody's workspace. I mean, her
Right,
workspace is
yeah, I
now,
understand.
like, it's ridiculous. It's half taken up by boxes, but it's just not, it's not, good.
Shred It will bring you a shredding, a big bin that's locked, and it's very minimal, $25 a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And we should put that on the agenda, next agenda, to talk about that.
Shred,
And
yeah.
let everyone everyone request to dispose
Yes.
and do a disposal
Yes.
process.
I think the only thing I want to make sure is that we know what documents actually have to be kept. Paper documents have to be kept, because I know there are the, I don't know if it's the Secretary of State or, you know, who, like, it says, like, you can't throw contracts, you have to have, you know, hard copies of contracts. But as we were going through files over the weekend, you know, there was there was so much stuff in there that I'm like, this is all emails that have been printed out, or like 10 copies of one thing. It's like, why do we have all this paper? Like, if we need one copy. And so I was just saying, we don't need 10 copies. I don't know why there are 10 copies here, but that's the way it was. So we just need to,
So
we need to
I
clean
guess
it out.
guidelines for what needs to be
Yes,
done and what
so
needs-
that, there's got to be something, the public records
You do, you
retention.
apply and you know, it's 7 years is the retention.
Okay,
And if you've been audited
yeah,
recently, like the accountant can get rid of all of her stuff if she's been audited, it doesn't have to be the 7 years. So you ask permission, you tell them what you want to dispose
I
of,
see,
and they
okay.
give you the permission, and we can do that. We can, I'll get going on that.
Okay.
Because that's pretty simple.
Okay,
Who are
that would
they?
be great.
Who is it, when you say
It's
they
the-
give you permission, who is it?
The public records people.
Okay,
So they have a form, you send the form in, they're very quick about coming back and saying yes. And then I think we will get a shredded bucket, so that it's not time consuming for everyone. They can pull their files, throw it in there, they come and shred it and give you a new can. They shred it right here on the premises when they come with the
Okay,
truck.
great.
And we only may need it for 6 months or 4 months or however long, just enough to clean up.
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
it's. The next item that I have is the select board meeting room. So Eric has already like started doing some investigation. In general, you know, we just want to like make this better space, get chairs that match, stuff like that. So that's a budget question too. And I know Melissa said you had been at some used furniture. You know, there's a lot of old office furniture out there, but it would be nice for us to have, I mean, we have like some real,
An
there's
eclectic
some
collection.
shredded.
pointing at my favorite chair.
That's like for Captain Kirk.
I rest my case.
Rita, it's an eclectic collection.
It's an
of
eclectic,
chairs.
yes. Anyway, but you know, like get a decent table and deal with this. So we need to know if there's a budget.
How would that budget,
How could we pay for it?
And in that, I'll say that the senior room was mostly done, except the floor through volunteer, like painting and stuff was done. And I can get those people back here
We
to make
can
the
get
estimate. Yeah.
But we also have to decide what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
You,
I've taken some lead tests, and I've actually got a couple more to test for lead paint. That's the one thing we're worried about.
right,
Just
we're
as
talking
a-
about messing around.
So are you volunteering to do that?
Yeah, I think, I have this stuff, I haven't done it yet, but.
I have a very good company that I've used to paint, but it depends upon our budget and how you
Right.
wanna do it. They're very good, they come in, they're fast, they sand the walls, they wash them. But we need to make sure about the lead thing.
Right, right,
And then the colors like gray, or whether you wanna keep it white.
yeah, and it's also getting the mess down here cleaned up too.
Absolutely, well, the
Um,
kitchen you can't even walk into.
Well, my view is that like this room should, I mean, I don't wanna think of it as it's sort of a studio. It's become sort of, because of Zoom meetings and so forth, it's sort of a studio, so I mean, it has to have sound that works, and it has to be sort of visually appealing so that people are, you know,
Something.
it has to look like it's just not, you're not having this meeting in this pile of whatever it is.
Historic.
Anyway, but you're right, maybe we should just, it's at the point where we need some sort of budget item for that to happen.
Okay. We do have a town building maintenance account, I'm not sure what comes out of there, but I'll talk to the accountant.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be great to know.
That's good, we should have it up account.
And so we talked about document storage and stuff, and then my last thing was the IT stuff, which, you know, we're all raised, we're all aware of, but, sort of along those lines of, document storage, when I'm talking about like in the cloud, like what's,
What's our options?
you know, what are our options, you know, what's being done now?
well,
I
it was a
don't,
good
you'll
report, it was a
have,
good report written, but it was actually a study committee, I don't know, and Susie Mosher chaired it, but
yeah.
I'm gonna say.
Did you go through it?
I did look at it, yeah.
Was it about electronic storage too?
Electronic storage was in
Yeah,
there, yeah, I
yeah.
believe.
Okay, so we need
But we
to
should,
just,
it's on,
I need
it's
to
on
read
the,
it, yeah,
on the website,
yeah,
town website.
yeah.
And I think that along that went with access to that for multiple people.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, because I did not purchase it, because you're talking $200 and it's a subscription. But I know with Outlook, a business Outlook, everyone gets a Microsoft subscription for so much per person per year. It's like $50 per person per year, rather than everybody on a standalone computer paying $300 a year for their subscription.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Google, we don't have an IT.
Right, I actually, talked to Mary Ann today to say, who does the library use? And there's somebody in town who they're gonna be using now, and I think the guy who's, Hank or whatever,
On
who
the
lives on the
Hank
Cape,
Allen.
yeah, we've gotta
He'd
change.
probably be relieved.
Yes, Yeah.
So Mary Ann, I'll ask her.
yes, yeah. It was.
Yeah, it does seem to me that the whole IT question, so just begs the question of what road do we go down in the future in terms of the document storage?
Well, yeah, and it's also like stuff
Gotta
on
change.
laptops, and it's sitting on the laptop, and where else is it?
And
And
if that
so-
laptop.
And the laptop, is the laptop secure? And is the laptop, what happens if the laptop just dies and nothing's been backed up? Is stuff being backed up now? I have no,
I have no idea. I know Outlook does the backup. I'll have to figure out what Google
Yeah.
does.
okay.
Google does not, whatever's in email is backed up. Google, you've used Google Drive, so everyone has a Google account, has a Google Drive account. Related, size depends. But unless you share your files with, like I created for us, and I think it's been beneficial, the Google Drive,
Yes, it's been great.
where Geneva and ultimately Becky ended up, and I would, and you guys would put stuff there. It was shared, so the three of us could see it, the TA and
And it was by meeting, by select board
By
meeting, so
meeting.
the agenda goes in there, then any
any documents
documentation
related.
that we're gonna be using.
And it kind of is a little archive of what we've used.
So does Google Drive give you security?
Well, Google My personal opinion is Google's not the safest thing to have. There are probably others out there that are a little safer, that have a second authentication part to it where you sign into it. I work, right now we have a whole system where I work that's just for file maintenance and contracts and everything. And everybody goes into it. So you log into it, gives you a second way of authenticating who you are. And it's inherently safe with what you do there. It's not tied to any particular company. I mean, it is Procore is the thing, but
Okay.
so yeah, it's definitely, it's a cloud storage. You can have shared drives on there. You can share it with, you know, who you need to. Everybody who has access can go into it. It removes it one step from Google. Outlook removes it from Google. I'm personally not a fan of Google, even the email part, just because it's not very business helpful. And if we just get it into the cloud, so all the computers are backed up in the cloud, if the computer
Right.
does something funny,
Melts down.
you know, like overheats and a battery just explodes, anything on that laptop is gone.
Right,
You know,
right, that's mine,
Yeah, and how many people leave their laptops plugged into their charger? So that's, yeah. But there are things out there. There may be a municipal type one that people already use. You know. The other thing that I think about is there a VPN on the computers that adds that level of safety to security?
Okay, so that's something.
How secure?
Yeah, I think it's ultimately gonna be, well, we can obviously participate in the decision, but somebody's an IT professional.
And then
gonna
how
look at
often
it.
are updates being
Yeah.
run, and how often are they being defragged and all of that sort of thing, so, you know.
Right.
Okay, so we are running out of time.
Yep.
And we didn't think we'd fill it all.
Yeah, that was everything on my list.
Yeah.
So
You could have most of the things on mine too. so-
Okay, good.
Yep.
And then, you'll be chairing the meeting next week, so we gotta do that agenda
Yep.
like right away.
Yep.
Right, but we started tonight, I don't know that I have anything else. I guess just my last question for you, Gabe, is, if I come in tomorrow, what I might do is I could come down here and like bring one of those boxes, but just if somebody wanted to use the office, are you comfortable with Eric and I using your office?
There's no
Okay.
problem there.
So we just need your code, but I was thinking I would like space to spread out if I'm doing a box of, you know, paper.
There is, just so you know, in that closet, there's that mini table that was in the TA's office before. And it
Oh,
goes,
in your
it goes
closet?
multiple heights.
Oh, okay.
So,
So
you
I
know,
could even
it's
if
a
it
hard
was-
working table.
it
to
was-
have
In which
that
closet?
computer.
In the
Right here?
closet,
The one we
the
were,
storage
the
closet next to
storage.
Upstairs,
the
okay.
TA office. Yeah, so I could even sit in the hallway or something too.
Yeah.
Like you did, yeah.
Yeah, I said,
Okay.
like, you know.
Yeah, okay. All right, great.
And the only other thing is the elevator.
Yeah, we gotta deal with that.
Oh, okay, so it's on
It is
your
on
radar.
it is on my radar.
Okay, great. Okay, we
Okay.
good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right,
Oh,
so,
I know, you said there was a change to the special town meeting warrant. Dave, you said.
Yes, and I emailed it to you. I do, if you wanna take a hard copy home, I did print them. 'cause
this
I'm
is gonna
used-
be at our
I'm used to
7:15
printing.
meeting.
Eric, if you.
No, I know
want-
that, but I mean, but just want to make sure we have it.
It was
right?
bills of prior year, so you have it.
There's
emailed.
two bills
Okay,
attached.
okay.
I included the bills because I like people to know what
Yeah.
they're looking at.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
So it's number 7. I changed the numbers and plugged it in. It's either 6 or 7, so let me get there. Just to update you, because we're on top of it, it's number 6. So it's a combination of 2 bills, $876, and you have copies of those bills. And 756 is the water, Berkshire Springs, and 120 is Encore Fire Protection. So we investigated Berkshire Springs, and on the bills, the bill copy that I included, there is under 930, this is what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
There are all the invoices listed that have not been paid. And the accountant and I did check, and they have in fact not been paid. So they total $756. I put the tape on the side showing you what they total.
Mhm.
I didn't include the dollar that they're charging us for interest. We'll figure out how to get rid of that with them. The other invoices that are listed on this bill are this year's. So I'm only going for $756 on the warrant, not the $837 the bill says is owed. The second one is a fire department. Your fire chief had ordered a fire test done on the library, and the bill there had never been taken care of. That's from 5/29/24. So that's a prior year bill, and I thought, wow, we have the opportunity, since special town meetings are expensive to put on, and people don't really like them, to go ahead and add this article and get them taken care of, because we want our vendors to be happy.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm off a paying bill.
okay. So tonight, at the finance committee, we will approve the warrant, then the warrant needs to be printed out and signed.
Okay.
So that will be, and then it needs to get posted.
So I have an original to sign, the only thing I didn't do is put the seal on it,
Okay,
so I don't know if you want to go do that quickly. I'm running out of
but
power.
it doesn't have the, we could do the signatures, but it doesn't have the recommendations on it yet, right?
Right, so this is the original,
Okay,
and we can, you're saying tonight we need to,
we could, we just have to replace the page. I just want to make sure those recommendations are not on the,
right, you
Page,
can
right.
sign page 4
Yeah,
tonight,
okay.
and we can seal it and add the recommendations
Okay.
and give it to the town clerk.
Okay. all right, that one we
And
do that.
yeah, I'll do that Thursday. She's out this week.
Right, okay. Is she back on Thursday?
No, I don't know when, it has to be posted 14 days before.
And the
was
14 days,
Monday.
is it 14,
Not including holidays.
is count for weekend, or weekends
No.
count? I just did it at home, but
I
don't
think
remember
we are
if I did.
just under the wire.
I think Thursday is the day.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Hold on.
Did you?
So would your assistant clerk be able to post it, Jeanette?
The constable can,
The constable can?
Christine.
We just have to get in touch with her. Is there any, yeah,
Now, the assistant town clerk would know how to get in touch with her. She'd at least have the phone number.
okay,
Yeah.
to get in touch with
Yeah.
Grace.
Yes, you said
Can you
not
count?
weekends, right?
I
Yes.
don't
And
believe
you
it's
can't
weekend.
count the third either?
I don't know. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me check here.
10, 11, 12.
Let me check with the,
14, not counting the third, is tomorrow.
so between now and the FinCom meeting, I can answer that question too.
Do you count? That's 7:15, right?
Yes,
Okay, thanks.
okay. It is
Yeah,
tomorrow.
14 counting from tomorrow is the second. So if we don't count the
If we don't
third,
count it, then it can be Thursday.
if we count the third, it can be Thursday. If
If
we
we
don't,
count-
it can be Wednesday. It has to be tomorrow. I do know where they get posted.
They get posted down by Lake Loyola out in front.
Yeah, and then also down on one of the back roads, there's a bulletin board. I went with Marilyn Tibbetts twice to do it because she, at her age, she wanted someone with her. So I do know where they go. I don't know if I can
And you have a
access
sheet.
it. Exactly.
You'll get
Oh, Donna McNichol is in the waiting room. Oh, but we are,
Can we ask her?
Oh, Donna, yes. I think Donna was coming for the vacation. Donna, I never got back to you. I'm sorry. But we have a question for you.
she's muted.
Can you unmute? Can you unmute?
Unmute,
Donna,
Donna.
you're muted.
Hi, Gabe.
Are you surprised?
Back to the rodeo, huh?
That's right.
Yes, for a little while.
Let's have that fun.
Go
So
ahead.
we now have a question, Dawn, I apologize, I didn't get back to you about the vacation. I'll update you on what the discussion was. We did decide to give the higher accrual amount. And so we had just had the discussion open in session so that it was open and transparent and such. So we are gonna do the higher accrual for the 19 weeks. So that was the decision there, but we have another question. And this
Sure.
question
I'm here now.
is about town meeting, posting of the warrant. 14 days before the town meeting, yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Can it include weekends? I don't remember.
Yeah, it includes weekends.
Okay, so we're.
Oh, well,
good.
good.
Oh, okay.
You made our night,
You
Donna.
made our night.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
perfect
not business days, it's 14 calendar days.
Oh,
We're
perfect.
good.
Okay, great.
Annual town meeting is 7 calendar days.
Oh,
Annual.
Annual, and special is 14.
14.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right,
No way
great.
that-
So we have the special town meeting scheduled
19th.
for
next Tuesday.
December 3rd.
December 3rd. I'm just trying to think if there's anything, I mean, typically you're at at town meetings. Do you come to special town meetings too?
It depends on the warrant.
Okay, have you seen the warrant?
No.
Okay,
I don't
so
think so.
we'll send you a copy of the warrant, and then maybe you can just provide some guidance about whether or not you think it makes sense for you to be there.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't really think so, Donna, but we'll email you. You want me to
I mean,
do
if
that?
it's just financial stuff and just cleaning up bills and stuff, it's silly to pay me to come. But if there's zoning or, or something that might need a bigger explanation, then it's usually worth me being there. So,
I think we're probably covered, but.
Famous
yeah,
last
we'll-
word.
just let me know. I'll hold it in place so that if you need me, I'll be there. But if you don't, I'll be more than happy not to go out on a cold December 3rd.
Okay, sounds good. You dropped the thing off at the school today, right?
What's that?
You dropped the
Yes, I
form?
did, yep.
We were all set.
She took it and said, oh yeah, I know, because Becky said Becky, you had talked to her about it.
All right, good. Okay, all right, so we're good then.
We're good.
All right,
right,
done
thank-
with me?
Yeah, we are. That was short and
That was
sweet.
easy.
Meeting ever.
Looking forward to working with you again, Gabe. I missed you.
Thank you. I enjoyed you. Yes, I look forward to it.
All right, talk to y'all soon. Have a good evening.
All right, you too,
See you
guys.
later.
All right, so do I hear a motion to recess this meeting until 7:15 when we are going to join with the Finance Committee,
So moved.
which is already on our agenda?
Sounds good. So, yes.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Make peace, O'Neill, aye.
Stalker eye.
Beryl, aye. Okay, we are in recess, so
Okay.
what do
How
we
are
do?
we
Just
going?
turn off the sound and the camera?
You have to end the meeting completely. So we have to end the meeting.
Well, we don't, because AJ was just going to join us.
No, I
We
think,
can't. We have to end the meeting. Grace is very concerned about that.
We
Yeah,
can
this has
end
to-
it and we can reopen.
And then we reopen the
Oh,
new
we
meeting.
reopen?
with their
Okay,
log.
oh, for the thing, okay.
It's
all right.
their login, not their link, not ours.
Yeah, okay.